Good evening, welcome to the latest live edition of Last Ball Boxing. Joined as ever by Andy, the co-presenter. Andy, how you going?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. How are you?
Yeah, Sam. So let's get into it, Andy. There's quite a lot to get through. So as ever, we always start with the fights that are happening this weekend. So obviously, quite a lot going off this weekend, but we'll start with the boxer card. So I'll hand the reins over to you to start taking us through the card. Over to you.
So really excited for one particular fight, Natasha Jonas, which we'll come to shortly. It's all coming together for Natasha now, mate. Like I say, we'll come on to it in a minute. I'm not sure how far down the card we're going to go. I think we'll start with Vital Riley. He's in against Ross McGuigan in a cruiserweight. Both unbeaten. Vital 6-0, Ross 3-0. We still don't really know what Vital Riley is all about, do we?
No.
He's come off from being a bit of a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And fighting his first few fights in America, which is a bit odd for an English fighter. To now obviously being on a massive platform like Sky and Boxer and being taken very seriously. And his last couple of fights, you can understand why. Where do you see him growing? I mean, the cruiserweight division, as we've said on a number of occasions, mate, is not the strongest.
Yeah, I quite like his approach though, because he's saying to everybody, isn't he, that I know I'm nowhere near world level yet. I know, so yeah. I just want to be given time to almost gain some credibility in the sport.
Yeah, he's doing it the right way.
I like his approach.
Unlike some people that will not be mentioned on this show.
Yeah, there's a very different approach. You can't help but wish the lad the best, can you? He's taking it very seriously. How good is he? We don't really know yet. There's no measuring stick who's been with us, to be honest. So
no, and they're doing the right thing. They're putting him in against fighters with very similar records. We're going to see what he's made of, aren't we, in the next few fights?
All I would say is this kid, he hasn't been beat, he hasn't tasted defeat, don't know what it's like to lose, so he's going to come and have a go into.
Yep, absolutely, mate. Okay, so moving swiftly on to Dylan Chima, the winner of the lightweight boxer tournament not that long ago. He's making good of his contract win. He's out on this card against Jordan Ellison. Jordan's got quite a lot of experience, journeyman, 13, 44 and 4. So if Dylan Chima wants to get anywhere, he needs to be dealing with all due respect to Jordan Ellison.
Yeah.
He needs to be dealing with Jordan Ellison. But we've seen it many times, mate. These journeymen, they're very, very tough. They know how to handle themselves. They know how to last fights. They know how to make things rough and difficult. They know how to defend and tuck up. Let's just see what Chima's all about.
Yeah, I like Dylan Chima. I think he's took his chance, grabbed it with both hands. I think that I'll be careful with my words here. I think it was well looked after in that Boxer Series tournament. That's the way I'll put it.
Yeah, I think you've managed them words quite well there, mate.
Yeah, but what I would say is you can't fault the kid for post Boxer Series. He's absolutely grabbed his opportunity with both hands.
Well, you can't fault him for the Boxer Series. He did what he was asked to do.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, I think both me and you don't agree with how that first fight went about. I think he was lucky to. He was on top of the fight. Don't get me wrong, but he was lucky for the ref stopped the fight the way he did. But that's all history, mate. You take your chance.
He's very marketable, though, isn't he? And a good ticket seller.
He does a great job. He does a great job for himself, mate. You can't blame him for that. Let's just see where he goes, eh? Again, still very early on. To be honest with you, I really, really like the way Boxer match make these fighters at this stage in their career. You know, it is what it is. People won't like it because it's looking like a one-sided fight, but you just never know. I mean, how many times have we been to small old shows and the journeyman's ended up coming away with the result? Because you just never know.
Good evening, Lee. Good evening, Tweez. Good evening, Jack. Yeah, Lee, we'll come on to Charlton. We're just working about the card.
Cole, just to let you know, I'm seeing none of that in the sidebar.
Right, okay. Well, then it looks like I'm doing the chat bar, then, don't it?
It does, mate. It does. You're gonna have to shout it all out to me, I'm afraid. Okay, moving on to Frazer Clarke. Obviously, there was a lot of drama in that last fight. Frazer was very, very upset about the level of opponent he was in with. But as we said at the time, it was a last-minute guy. If they hadn't have got the opponent, Frazer wouldn't have been fighting. So it's okay saying these opponents are no good and blah, blah, blah. But Frazer, he's got his wish, mate. He's in with a much more durable fighter. Camus Sokolowski, who's been in with everybody.
Yeah. He's definitely going to get round here. Anyway, let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been in with everybody at British level, as well as a few bigger names. So Otto Wallin, he took Otto Wallin the distance. Solomon Dakkar's the distance. David Adelaide, Nick Webb, Martin Bakole, who is a monster, and he took him the distance. Nathan Gorman and David Price.
Who did he fight last time out?
Was it Wallin?
No. I want to see you pronounce it.
I've not got that on my list, mate.
Oh, of course you hadn't. Anyway,
obviously,
yeah.
I obviously didn't put that one down.
Okay, we'll move on then.
Well, why don't you try and pronounce it then?
Jalolov. That's who he fought last time out. Who's up and coming.
So this is definitely a yardstick for Frazer, isn't it? Because his fight is there. David Adelaide is probably and Solomon Dakker is probably the two main examples of the fighters.
I can't make my mind up about Frazer Clarke because he's wanting to be fast tracked, and I'm the first one to draw parallels with Joe Joyce. But I still think he's got a lot of learning to do. He's got a lot of learning to do, so you've got to be careful with these opponents because I don't think he's as talented as Joe Joyce. He's got
a lot. The problem is, Carl, it's hard to say because he spent so much time in the amateurs. He's got lots and lots and lots of experience. The more of an amateur record you've got, I think that equates to fighting 10 journeymen in the pros on a lot of occasions. Frazer needs a test. Is what, in his 30s, is he? Early 30s?
Yeah.
He needs a test. This is going to be a bit of a test. And then it's stepping up again from here. Frazer don't want to hang around because of his age, and you can't blame him for that. He's either going to pass these tests at this stage or he's not. And if he's not, then it's going to be a short pro career. But I think you'll find he's much better than he's been allowed to show so far, mate.
He won't win a world title though.
Oh well, the heavyweight division's quite stacked.
He's talking about winning the world title, isn't it? I just don't think.
Well, I mean, we'll see, mate. You know, when these 2 years time down the line, and the belts will be fragmented, so there'll be lots of opportunities. By that point, he should be at world level. Okay.
So I'll just pick a few comments up. Jack says Sokolowski beat Adelaide, then got robbed. Too Easy says Stevenson versus Cruz. Your thoughts? So I said we'll pick that up later on in the show. And Jack goes on to say that he thinks Sokolowski is a test, which I agree.
Yeah.
And then Jack Gladwin goes on to say Frazer Clarke beats Dubois. Close one.
Right at this minute in time, Dubois probably got a bit too much pro experience, but it won't be long before Frazer Clarke's at that level. Be good in about four or five fights time, that. Okay, moving swiftly on. Just for anyone that's joining this show, we've changed our stream, by the way. So things are looking a little bit different, and we're just getting a bit used to it. So bear with us. Tyler Denny is the current British middleweight champion. He's fighting Bradley Ray. Tyler's 14-2-3. Bradley Ray's 14-0.
I think this could take fight of the night.
Yeah. This could be an absolutely brilliant fight. I mean, Tyler Denny's he lost to Linus Adofia, which we've seen Linus Adofia. He's a great fighter. And Bradley Ray a couple of fights ago looked absolutely.
Great might be a bit strong. Great might be a bit strong. He's a very good fighter. Great's a bit strong.
Adofia.
Yeah.
He's very good. He's very good British level, mate.
Yeah, so it's not great, is it?
At British level, yeah. Yeah. I thought
but by definition, if he's British level, he's not great, is it?
Okay, is the best one of the best in the country at British level then?
Yeah, that'll do.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, boss. So Bradley Ray, a couple of fights ago, had the outstanding knockout of Craig MacArthur, which wasn't, no one saw that coming, and he's had a couple of fights that have gone the distance since. This again, like you've just said, mate, this could be a very close fight. Could end up being fight of the night. I love seeing these English title fights on these big cards, mate.
Yeah, the only thing about Bradley Ray is massive, isn't it? The reach he's got and the height of him.
Yeah.
How long can he hang around for that weight?
Well, probably not. Well, I don't know, mate. It's one of them, isn't it? You see certain fighters and they just, I don't know how they do it.
So Lee Brown's putting aside that he doesn't think Fraser Clark beats Dubois. And Jack Gladman says that he thinks Fraser Clark would beat him within 18 months. And Too Easy says, by the way, awesome interviews and content you've been putting out last few days. Thank you very much for the kind words, Too Easy.
Thanks, Too Easy. Appreciate that, mate. I think Fraser Clark is going to shine when he's in with someone tough. It's a bit difficult to look great against fighters that don't want to fight back. It's not always easy, is it? When you're fighting somebody that isn't giving you the openings and the opportunities. I mean, that last fight aside, he's had 2 pro fights, so you can't really call that last fight a fight. So he's had 2 pro fights, really, in my opinion, and neither of them were up to much.
Does he beat a Yuri Fiore?
No, of course not. Yuri Fiore's bordering world level, mate.
Does he beat Gorman?
No, not right. But you're talking fighters that have had. What's Yuri Fiore had?
I'm just trying to gauge where you put him even at the minute. Does he beat Wardler? Yeah. Think he does? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, mate, we're going to see, because this Sokolowski's tough, and he will come to fight. So you're going to see what Fraser Clark has. You'll get a lot of answers after this fight, mate. But yeah, I believe you don't do as well as he does in the amateurs. Let's not forget.
Or Davison did.
Sorry?
Or Davison did.
Well, Orde Harrison didn't have a chin, did he?
I'm just saying that he can have achievements in the amateur game, then turn over to pro.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, fair enough, mate. You got a point there. But he's been in the amateur GB squad for a long time, and if he wasn't any good, he wouldn't have been in that squad.
I'm leaning onto the side that he doesn't make it in the pro game.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. I just don't fancy him, Andy. I might be proved to be wrong. I just seen little things in his game that I don't quite like. But it's an opinion game, isn't it?
Yeah. The next 12 months will be defining for him. He's definitely going to have to step up fairly quickly, and we'll see whether he can swim at that level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Dylan Smith is in against. I'm not sure how you pronounce this first name. Is it Casey or Casey Benjamin?
Who? What about Dalton Smith?
Dalton Smith, yeah. He's in against. Is it Casey Benjamin? Casey
Yeah,
Benjamin?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
British title, I believe. Super lightweight. I think Dalton Smith's class.
Yeah.
And again, they're handling him very, very well. Benjamin's though, mate, he's no pushover. He's got a decent record. This could be another one, just like the English title fight. This could be one for fight of the night as well. Quite top end. The top three fights are quite strong.
They're talking about some big names for Dalton Smith, though, aren't they? They're talking about him jumping in with the elite at this level.
Not right now. Not right now, mate. He's got a lot of learning to do.
He's got to be taking care of people like Benjamin if he's even going to sniff that level of opponent.
It's all about learning into it and progressing. You can't just switch it on and say, just because he has a tough fight. Say he has a tough fight this fight. That don't mean that in a year or two's time he's not going to be world level.
But I like Dalton Smith because unlike other fighters who might have called out once or twice in the past for having about 40 fights and not jumping in with anyone of note, I think Dalton Smith will jump in with him. I think he ain't hanging around. He wants to get to that level.
I'm sure he would, mate. I'm sure he would. And that's what your promoter's there for, is to rein him back and give him the fights at the right time. That's what a very good promoter does, isn't it? You don't just throw him in with the Wolves and Opie swims unless you get a really lucrative offer that you can't turn down. You've got to build these sort of fighters. But protect.
Well, Denzel Bentley's rolling the dice at the weekend, isn't he?
He is, mate. Absolutely, yeah. Sometimes you've got to protect him against themselves a little bit. Denzel Bentley's got a lot of experience now.
He's got an old city behind him as well. So,
and he's in my opinion, mate, he's in with a chance. You just never know. I think Denzel Bentley's a great fighter.
Jack Gladman says also Tom Stork is another example of prestige amateur who didn't quite turn over.
There's been numerous ones, isn't there, mate, that everyone raves about, and all of a sudden it just doesn't work for him. I mean, how many times have you heard top end boxers say it's a different sport?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to what I think is going to be the headliner, and it should be Natasha Jonas against Maria Eve Dakar, I think it's spelt. Obviously, this is a unification for 3 of the 4 belts in the super welterweight division, with Terry Harper holding the other one. So there's a big carrot dangled here, isn't there? If Natasha can come through this fight, and let make no mistake about it, mate, this girl's tough. If she comes through this, mate, that undisputed fight against.
Well, she gave Tricia Shields kittens, didn't she, this girl?
She did, yeah. And he went to a unanimous points decision in the end to Shields. But that just shows you how tough this kid is. It shows you how good she is. So, very tough fight for Natasha Jonas. But
very, very confident as well.
These are the fights that she's been wanting, mate. I mean, I remember us interviewing her. It must be a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Very early on when we started the show. Natasha was very kind to come on. Very nice girl. Taught very well. She'd just come off of the Katie Taylor loss, and she was obviously still a bit disappointed, angry even at the Terry Harper result. I think just about everybody apart from the 3 judges thought that she won that fight that night. So she's going to get another opportunity, another bite at Terry Harper, who I think has improved immensely as well. It's going to end up being an absolute barnstormer, that second fight, mate. Both of them are going to want to prove something, but Natasha can't look past this girl. It's a very, 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 very tough fight. I'm really looking forward to this. I can't tell you enough how much I want Natasha Jonas to succeed, because a lot gets made of certain female fighters for good reason. Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, for being trailblazers in the division. Natasha Jonas is just as much.
Yeah.
You know, she was the
There's got,
first.
there's got to be a shout out for Joe Gallagher as well, because
Absolutely, mate.
it's a
He's done a brilliant job with her. Very tough. You know, Joe's one of those outspoken coaches that he won't just sit back and take it off a promoter. If he thinks something's not right, he's going to shout up. And sometimes that might work in the detriment of his fighter. And maybe that happened a couple of times for Natasha when she could have got a rematch with Taylor. You know, the rematch with Harper didn't happen for whatever reason. But they've waited the time, mate.
The thing I like about Natasha Jonas is how dignified she's been throughout the process.
Absolutely, mate. She's taken the fights that she's been given. She's moved to boxer, who are really behind her. Ben Shalom has done a great job. He's got the 2 world title fights she's already had, and now he's got this third one. You can't ask for any more, really. He's done everything that's been asked of him. And Natasha's done everything that's been asked of her. She's moved up 3 weights. A lot of people raised their eyebrows when she went up to super welter, thinking that she won't be big enough.
So Jack Gladman, as positive as ever, says Harper versus Jonas doesn't happen anymore. I think it does. It's a big fight.
That's right, Jack. You just put my fire out, mate. Cheers, pal.
No, look, Jack's a matchmaker, and it's all about keeping people's expectations down, isn't it? He's thinking about percentages, no doubt.
Well, it seems in female boxing, mate, these fights happen more likely than they do in the male.
And there's a couple of reasons for that, isn't there? A, because you haven't got the promotional debacle at the minute for now, and B, there's not the amount of fighters. Let's be honest. So and the 3, I think it's just because they want to jump in with each other.
Unfinished business, mate. Unfinished business. And they're both ambitious as well. They both want to be undisputed. Of course they do. They both want that legacy. Neither of them are
the payday, remember? And the payday.
Yeah, of course, it'll be the biggest payday for both of them. But neither of them, mate, are there for that. They're not there for that payday. Obviously, that's a big bonus. But it's all about winning titles for both of these girls. I've got a lot of respect for both of them. You know, they've both come from a difficult position of losses. Terry Harper's was a real bad one against
Jonas wins, though. Let's not beat it.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think Jonas wins as well. But it's going to be a really good fight because, like I say, I think Terry Harper's improved immensely since she's moved up. She looked brilliant last time out. She looked great. She looked great in Nottingham on the Lee Wood undercard against Michael Conlon, the Lee Wood Conlon undercard. She looked very good there in her first fight at lightweight. Then she moved up again to win this title, and again, people were thinking she's not going to be big enough.
And that's what I mean about the depth of talent in the female game at the minute. It's still growing as a sport, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Of
course it is. So it gives these, but that's just more opportunity for these girls to do what they're doing. Well. Say again?
It's a bonus for the fans as well because we get the big fights.
Yeah, we are doing, mate. I mean, you know, the politics, like you've just said, the politics in the female side of boxing isn't quite at the level of the male side. So these fights often happen more than in the male divisions. How do you see this Natasha Jonas fight going? Firstly,
I think she's in for a tough first half of the fight. I think she's in for a very tough first half of the fight. I still think Natasha Jonas is a better boxer out of the 2.
Yeah.
So I'm going for a unanimous points decision to Natasha Jonas. I don't think she knocks the girl out this time. I think she'll just take her over 12 and it'll be, like I said, a unanimous decision.
Well, she's a very tough cookie, mate. She's only been stopped once in 19 fights.
Yeah, exactly.
She tells you what she's all about. She's spent a lot of her career at this weight. I think Natasha Jonas has carried some extra power up to this. It seems to have, the extra weight seems to have suited her really, really well. I'm going to go for a late stoppage. Natasha Jonas. I'm going to go round. I'm going to go for the last round. We're round 10.
Be interesting.
So, do you want to move on to something else that's happening at the same arena on the same night? Am I right in thinking that this is actually now going to be showed on
It is.
Sky, which I think is great. It's great for the two fighters, two absolute legends of the sport, mate. And don't get me wrong, they're not taking themselves too seriously. What this has done is it's gave Ricky Hatton a reason to get himself into shape. I mean, we saw him up in Liverpool. He was training one of the fighters. I can't remember who it was now. Training one of the fighters. He looked in absolutely fantastic shape. But we're talking about two absolute legends, mate. These two boxers. I mean, I don't know whether either of them are in the Hall of Fame at the minute, but they will be. They're that good. Ricky Hatton, obviously, two-weight world champion. Super lightweight and welterweight. And Marco Antonio Barrera is a three-weight world champion. Super bantam, featherweight, and super feather.
I mean, what I would say is that they both fought everybody in their era. For one, they didn't duck nobody. I'm not offended by this exhibition bout. Obviously there's no knockouts, there's no winners. It's just a chance to watch two people carry out the craft. And if it gives motivation, if it gives Ricky Hatton motivation to drop the weight like he has and improve his well-being, there's no harm in it. I mean, he's talking about him fighting Mayweather next year, isn't there? Nah.
Well, let's see how he gets on. Mayweather's still in very, very, very good shape, mate. For his
he'll probably.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that'd be a good move, if I'm being honest. But this is what it is, mate. Neither of them are pretending it's something it's not, which is what I like. You get some of these exhibitions and they try and make out it's something it's not. They're trying to make out, try and make out it's a serious fight. These two guys aren't doing that. They know each other. They're quite good friends. They've spent a lot of time in each other's company over the years.
So Larry, just picking up a couple of comments. Larry Liston said, I would much rather see these fights with older boxers in exhibition fights than these YouTuber fights.
Absolutely agree, mate.
And then he said, go on Ricky Hatton. So he's clearly a Ricky Hatton fan.
I mean, Ryan, you just said...
Ryan, we're talking about Hatton versus Barrera, and that we're not taking it too seriously. If you want to give your opinion.
So let's just quickly, mate. Let's just quickly run through some of the names that these fighters have been in with. The only person that Ricky Hatton didn't fight that I really would have loved to see would have been Junior Witter. For whatever reason, that fight didn't happen. I think Witter was coming up one day. He was like the next British challenger to Ricky Hatton's crown. But at the time, Ricky Hatton was over fighting in the States.
And also, just one thing I've got to go off my chest is, I think it's an outrage that Amir Khan brought Barrera over in, was it 1995?
Very late on. I think he'd only got 2 fights after that. And he'd come off of, what a lot of people don't know about that fight is, he'd come off of a fight prior to that where his opponent had headbutted him and cut him above the eye. And that cut hadn't properly healed when that fight came in. And it was the end of his career, mate. He wanted to make some money.
Yeah.
Probably wanted to fight again in England because he'd been over before. It just wasn't right. He was thrown to the wolves, mate, and
he still gave Khan problems though until that cut opened up.
But it was very disrespectful to a man of his stature in the boxing world, mate. Let's quickly run through a couple of the names that these guys have been in with. So Ricky Hatton, obviously, the Manny Pacquiao fight that didn't end very well. Paulie Malignaggi, Floyd Mayweather, Jose Castillo, Luis Collazo, and obviously Costa Tszyu. And Marco Antonio Barrera, jeez, man. Manny Pacquiao twice. Juan Manuel Marquez. Eric Morales 3 times.
Yeah. If you've not watched them fights, you need to jump on YouTube and watch them fights. They're absolute wars.
He's the man that took Prince Nazim Hamed's heart. He was never the same person after that.
He definitely
only
took
ever
his
fought
soul.
once. Took his soul. He only ever fought once after that, and he was never the same. And Junior Jones, Johnny Tapia, Kevin Keller, the list goes on and on and on and on.
So we got, Andy, let me just pick a few comments up. So Ryan overall, not one sitting on the fence, Ryan. He's put it's a BS fight. Nobody was asking for it, and it's just taken over the Tasha Jones unification fight. And then Larry steps in and says, "Disagree, Ryan. I would gladly pay to see Ricky and Barrera in there having a good time. Both legends to the sport."
I think Ryan.
Don't take it so serious, Ryan.
No. I respect your opinion, Ryan, and you say a lot of good stuff on the show. But I think you've got this one wrong, mate. They're not taking it seriously. They're not pretending it's something it's not. It is what it is. It's an exhibition. They're not going to beat 10 cans out of each other. They know each other really well, like I've said already. They're good friends.
They're just going to have a tickle. That's all they're going to do. They're going to have a tickle in the ring. That's all they're going to do.
It's literally two legends. It's literally two legends going out and enjoying themselves, isn't it? It's like watching Legends football, mate. That Legends five-a-side stuff. It's like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great bit of fun, and this is a great bit of fun. I don't think it overshadows the Jonas fight one little bit. I think it's just an added bonus that it's going to be on the same evening in the same arena. If anything, it may be. If anything, it may have enticed more fans to go.
Probably so. With it being, like I say, Manchester, that's probably the case.
With it being Manchester, with Ricky's like Mr. Manchester when it comes to boxing, and Marc Antonio Barrera is a world legend. It's a no lose situation for me. What's he said?
Ryan's having a bad night, Ryan, as I can tell. So Ryan says, "I don't want to see that shit Legends football. Ain't fun, boring as F."
Well, Ryan, you have a. I mean, I'm assuming you like everyone else in the world. You've got an off button on your remote. So once the Tasha Jonas has finished, lifted that belt, just turn the TV off, mate. Go to bed.
I'll tell you what, Ryan. As a fight fan, and I'm a lad from Nottingham, no affiliation with Manchester, but don't tell me when Blue Moon comes on and then Ricky Hatton stood there that atmosphere isn't going to be electric.
Of course it is. Of course it is. It's going to be outstanding, mate, isn't it? Why not? Why not, mate? Why not have a bit of fun and not take it too seriously? And we've already said what it's done for Ricky mentally and physically is enough in its own right.
So I know Ryan's from Liverpool, so Andy, let's throw this one out there because it's about done and dusted by all accounts. Ryan, what's your thoughts on Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr., which is, like I've said, by all accounts, about made? And why Ryan's typing away frantically. Andy, what do you think of this fight?
Well, I don't think it's made for the date that Eubank wanted it. It's not made. It's not being made for December, is it?
No, by all accounts, the Smith camp want it in the new year.
Yeah. Well, come on. It's a massive fight. Liam's moving up weight. Why is he going to take a fight in 5 weeks against a dangerous fighter? Let's have it right. Why is he going to do that when Eubank's come off of probably a 12-week camp, absolutely primed and ready to go? He's just not going to do it, is he? He's thinking smart, mate. It's the right thing to do. I think it's an outstanding fight, and I'm going to go against a lot of people here. A lot of people think that Eubank's too big. I think Liam Smith is too ring savvy and too smart. Yeah,
Ryan Rourke says Smith beats him with ease, levels to the game. Not sure with ease, to be honest with you.
No.
But I think Liam was just too good, especially when he started whipping them body shots in.
They ain't going to do a difference in the fight, mate. I mean, Chris Eubank's known for not having really good footwork. It's improved since he's been with Roy Jones, but he doesn't have footwork. The footwork that's going to get out of the way of them body shots.
And Roy Jones is back in his corner for this fight as well.
He is. Yeah, he is. I think you might find Liam will go through some dodgy moments in them first early rounds when Eubank's on it. But Eubank's going to find out there's nowhere to go and Liam's not going to budge.
So Ryan's definitely in a bad mood. Eubank's a bum, let's be honest. Liam skills too much. And then Larry Liston says, Liam Smith will be the hardest opponent for Eubanks since Groves. Liam is extremely underrated, but Eubanks will probably be the small favourite. Bit of an Andy answer there, really, that Larry, because you're covering both bases again. So,
any ideas where I like Larry? He's great. Any ideas where that's going to be? Carl?
No. I'll probably put the feelers out next week, but it'll probably be made official next week because, like I said, I've been told it's done.
What platform's it on? Sky?
Again, the TV broadcast details, I don't know. I've just been told the fight's been signed.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's in Liverpool.
I hope so, because I'll be there.
Eubank's not scared to go to anybody's backyard.
I'll tell you what, Andy, Ryan O'Rourke can buy us a pint when we get down the dockside.
Yeah, it's not cheap down there, Ryan. Get your pennies out, mate. Yeah, as I was saying, Eubank's not scared to go to anyone's backyard. In fact, I think he thrives on it. And Liam Smith sells out the arena, but on his own. So it'd be a no-brainer, in my opinion, that's where the fight should be. I don't think Eubank cares where it is.
Well, Eubank is, what you do, take him down the O2? Why would you do that?
Well, I don't think Eubank's got the following, if I'm honest.
No.
He's one of those, he's like his old man Intimate. He's Marmite.
Good evening, boxing historian. Jack Gladman said he's heard it's on a neutral ground. And Ryan has said, Bear Moretti's on him, Alec, and they're on him. So other brands are available, Ryan, but I'm quite happy to share a Bear Moretti with you, fella.
Yeah, I'm up for a Moretti, mate, anytime.
So yeah, my money. I don't think it will be neutral, Jack. I think it'll be Liverpool.
Might be Manchester.
Yeah, but I just can't see a sense. A good strong scarce undercard.
Yeah,
so Ryan says he's not up for Foster's. Well, that's what Andy buys on his round. So
behave yourself.
Just don't be drinking with Andy in rounds, then, fella. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Andy?
Yeah, let's talk about the fact that Wilder Andy Ruiz Jr.'s looks like it's been made. Your opinions on that, Cole? Opinions in the sidebar on this?
Yep, so I think Wilder absolutely annihilate Andy Ruiz Jr. I think it don't go past 3. You don't have to look for Andy Ruiz. And I just think he tees off on him. There you go. There's no splinters in that answer, is there? Good afternoon, Cedric.
You know what, mate? I hate to agree with you. You know that. In fact, I try my hardest not to. But on this occasion, I don't think I have a lot of choice. Andy Ruiz Jr. at one point was a fighter that everybody was avoiding. And the first Joshua fight showed why. But since that fight, he's a completely different fighter. He's not anywhere near as hungry. It's like, well, I've been world champion now. I'll just make a bit of money. That's how it comes across. He blows up. He yo-yos in weight. He blows up. He comes back down. And you're right, mate. His style of fighting is come forward. Let's have a tear up. And that suits Deontay Wilder to the ground, don't it?
So a few comments on the side. Jack Gladman said WBC done some good orders. Wilder KO Ruiz. Ryan says Shakur Stevenson's going to duck Pitbull Cruz. I don't think so. Larry Liston said a motivated Andy Ruiz has a 50-50 chance if he comes in there overweight and unmotivated and doesn't try to get on the inside, he'll be open to that right hand all day. Too easy says Ruiz will wake up while the brain MRI will be going.
Oh, come on. That's a bit of a naughty comment, mate. It's a bit of a naughty comment, that. I don't find things like that funny in boxing. That's put a dampener on the conversation, hasn't it?
Well, just picking up Shakur Stevenson versus Cruz, that is a great fight. But I just think Shakur Stevenson would have too much for Cruz, if I'm honest.
Shakur Stevenson, mate, is next
Quality.
level. I was disappointed with what went off in his last fight. It was a bit unprofessional. But he will learn from that. And I don't think he'll make the same mistakes again. He's levels.
Oh, Ryan's full of beans now. So he's put, if Stevenson agrees to fight Pitbull, I'll get you a double whiskey as well. Now, I'm not really a whiskey drinker. I'm giving away a lot on here tonight.
I'll have a rum though if you're offering, mate.
Larry Liston says Ruiz didn't look great against Ortiz, but he did get a few knockdowns and looked better than against Arreola. Against Arreola, he looked absolutely atrocious.
Are we talking about the 90-odd-year-old Ortiz that walks to the ring and with a Zimmer frame? Are we talking about that fighter? He looked good against that fighter, did he? Come on.
So this is your time in the sidebar to bring up any topics you wanted to cover. So post your comments in the sidebar. Happy to talk about anything you want to talk about.
In the meantime, mate. In the meantime, let's just quickly touch on the headlining fight on the Probellum show on Friday in Sheffield. Sonny Edwards against Felix Alvarado for the IBF Fly World Title. His opponent here, mate, has got a lot of experience. 40 fights, only losing 2 with 33 knockouts. So for that division, it looks like he might be able to bang a bit. Sonny Edwards, in my opinion, though, won't be there for him to land on.
No.
He's absolutely mustard, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gonna have to come up. I think he's gonna have to come up or down a weight though, isn't it? Because the talent pool in his weight division, there's no one really.
The problem is, mate, he's tried to make unification fights, and they don't want it.
So that's why he's probably have to move up or down then, because if they don't want it, he's tried to get him in the ring. He's got some good backing answer.
Yeah, I feel for him, to be honest with you, mate. There's been a lot of excuses made.
So I think Sonny Edwards will take this one. I think he'll take it.
I think Sonny Edwards is great on social media as well. You don't care what he says; he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's very outspoken, but he's almost, because his division's that poor in terms of talent and levels. He's almost got to create his own hype.
The other champions are good, mate. The problem is they don't want to fight him. It's a shame because they're great fights. Yeah,
I mean, Sonny Edwards, he should really be bigger profile than he is. You could argue he's not a massive profile, is it?
Never works with those real low weights, though, mate.
No.
Never has.
No, Lee Brown makes a good point. Sonny versus Jafar is a huge future fight. Yeah, I don't see that being too far in the future, to be honest.
I think it might be further than you think, mate.
Jack Gladman says Sonny Edwards is the most avoided fighter in the UK, period.
Absolutely, Jack.
Ryan makes a good point. He was happy Callum is a mandatory at 175. That'll be worth touching on.
So that's been made, hasn't it? Whatever happens with
Yard
Beterbiev. That's who I was thinking of. Brain's not working tonight. Yard Beterbiev. Whatever happens with that fight, the winner has to fight Callum Smith, which is mouth-watering. It'd be great for British boxing if Yard pulled it off, but it'd be great for world boxing if he didn't.
I don't care who Callum jumps in with; he beats both of them. So
yeah, I was just about to say that, mate. Beats both of them, in my opinion. Beterbiev's just on the other side of that peak of the hill, mate.
I'd say he's a bit further over that hill. I've been saying that for a while.
He's not looked great in his last few fights, let's say that. But they say the last thing to go in a fight is his power, and that's his big ticket, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm hoping Callum Smith might get he wants to fight at Anfield. Maybe if you get Bivol over. If he wants
that'd be the undisputed, wouldn't it? If that happened, that'd be brilliant. Imagine that. I don't know whether Bivol would do that though, mate. I don't know whether
he's travelled before. He likes a pound note, doesn't he?
I know. Yeah, well, he has. Well, I mean, he did it for Canelo Alvarez, didn't he? So, I guess maybe he would.
I think Bivol's that good. He's not frightened to travel anywhere.
It's a fight. That's a real fight, that, mate. That's a real fight.
Yeah.
Callum does a better job than Ramirez did.
Ramirez just wasn't good enough to execute a game plan, was he?
I don't think he was given the opportunity, mate. Bivol was just outstanding.
So Lee Brown says Buatsi can't be ignored. Why? You don't beat Smith. No, we don't need to think about it. You don't beat Smith.
I think Buatsi's fell out of favour with Matchroom. He was at one point a couple of years ago. He was there. He was like their next golden boy, and he was being pushed, and they were doing the right things. All of a sudden, fights dried up.
He hasn't looked great though, has he? You know,
not
he hasn't
really.
looked great.
He struggled against Richards. I don't think Richards is quite world level. He struggled against Richards.
Yeah, Jack makes a good point. Bivol can't fight in the UK as British Boxing Board of Control don't allow Russians to fight in the UK. Ryan said Buatsi gets KO'd by Smith. Larry Liston thinks Canelo versus Bivol 2 may get in the way of Bivol versus Beterbiev. Lee Brown said Buatsi has reached heights he should have by now. Should that be Asen or As? Buatsi has reached heights he should have by now, but was great against Spider.
I don't think he was great against Spider. I think he showed frailties in that fight. I think he should have dealt with Spider Richards better than he did. There was times in there he was getting clipped way too easily, and you do that against the real big boys in the division, and he's getting knocked out.
So Rainer Rourke thinks Bivol's classed as a Canadian fighter due to citizenship. I thought that had better be not Bivol, Ryan.
Bivol's definitely Russian, Ryan.
I know Beterbiev's got dual citizenship with Canada.
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny how certain promoters in America allow certain fights to happen with Russian fighters, i.e. Bivol, Canelo, because it made all the money, and then other fights they didn't want. I don't really want to be pointing fingers, but a certain other Russian, or who isn't actually a Russian fighter, by the way, not too very far from us, a fight never happened that should have happened because promoters in America were saying he was Russian, and he's not. So it's just funny how certain Russian fighters can fight, and this is why I think the fight would happen in Liverpool, because I think the British Boxing Board of Control would welcome the cash.
So Larry Liston says a political ban from the WBC against Russian fighters is, in my opinion, bad for the sport and unfair for the athletes. Will lower the quality of title fights in the future. I'm not so sure we can be penalising Russian fighters for something that the head of state are doing. I don't want to get into politics, obviously, but
no. I said it at the time, mate. When this first came out that the Russian fighters were getting banned, I said it at the time. As long as there's no obvious tie or links to that regime, i.e., the fighter doesn't sponsor or help out that Russian regime or hasn't done in the past, as long as that can be proven that isn't the case, why would that fighter be?
I mean, Bivol resides in California,
you
know, so Therese says, here we go again with the American bullying. Let me get my helmet.
Yeah, but Therese, I mean, if you're saying that on the comment that I made,
I think he is, because I've not said nothing anti-North American.
So tell me I'm wrong then, Therese. Counter that argument of mine.
And then
they made a certain fight with a Russian fighter just because it was against Canelo and it was massive money.
Just why Therese types away. Jack Glavin said, better be ever was Canadian way before this too. So interesting.
Cole, do you want to talk about was it Therese that mentioned some of the footage we've had recently on the channel? Do you want to just for people that may not or maybe viewing the channel for the first time, just want to let them know what we've been doing in the last few weeks?
Just a couple of comments first. Lee Brown says, can't help where you are born.
Absolutely.
Gavin says the Russian ban is wrong, but any Russian born have to pay tax there, hence the ban. Teresa says, take your pick of American promoters and they're all worse than the devil. Laughing my arse off.
Yeah.
So, what we've been up to recently. So, obviously, recently you will see on the channel we've got a Neil Marsh interview that Andy conducted. Anybody who don't know about who Neil Marsh is, he's David Evaneson's boxing manager and also Zach Parker's manager. So, go and check that out. We also do a lot of support for small and local trainers in and around the East Midlands in the UK. So we've got a bit of footage from a Derbyshire gym at the weekend. And then we've got a couple of videos coming up this week that you're just going to have to wait and see. One's a very big interview. Quite apt to the comment we've just been talking about as well, to be honest. That's due to drop probably next weekend. But no, obviously... Two-part approach to this channel. We do the live every Thursday at 7 p.m, but we also like to get out and get to shows and get some footage with fighters and increase the profile. So that's enough about that, Andy. Let's get some comments on the side. So, guys, again, we'll probably go for another 10 minutes. Any topics before we bring it to a close? Oh, here we go, Ryan. Is Lee Wood Santa Cruz still on? Never at a killer. Ryan's just stirring the pot in there. I'll go first on this one, and this might cost me my beer Moretti when I meet him in Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I tell you, Lee Wood would knock both of them out, and I'm sick of hearing about this Ball kid from Liverpool keep calling Lee Wood's name out. He fights tomorrow night then, so is it Nick Ball? Nick Ball, isn't it? I'm sure it is. God, he needs to get in line, don't he? And we're also hearing Andy, who was that Liverpool fighter who beat him in the golden?
Dickinson.
Who?
Jazza Dickinson.
Jazza. So I quite like Jazza Dickinson, but again, he's calling Lee Wood out. It's funny how they all want to know Lee Wood now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Personally, I think Lee Wood will fight Santa Cruz next in America. And then, depending on how that goes, it's likely to be Michael Conlan if he loses, or it'll be Josh Warrington if he wins. What do you think, Andy?
I think you're about on the money there, mate. I think you're about on the money.
So Nick Ball is WBC number 3. I've just noticed though, Jack, he's been banging on about Lee Wood.
Like you say, mate, he needs to get in line. Unfortunately, Lee Wood's been through that hard slog. There was times in his career, and it's been well documented. There's times in Lee Wood's career when he didn't have a promoter, he didn't have a manager. It was the only people he got were mates that would sit in hotel rooms with him, nights of fights, nights before fights, keeping his spirits.
And Rhino always pulling you up as well, saying it's not Dickinson, it's Dickens, Jazza Dickens.
Oh, sorry, apologies.
It's obvious. And then so Lee Brown said Nick Ball is good, but so is Lee Wood. You know.
No one's saying Nick Ball's not, but you've got to climb the ladder, mate. Just like Lee Woods had to do. He's had his ups and downs. He got beat by Dickens, didn't he? Jazza Dickens. He got beat by Dickens in that Golden Gloves tournament. A lot of people thought that was the end of Lee Wood, and he's still getting it now off people. Oh, Lee Wood can't beat such and such. Oh, Lee Wood can't beat Reece Mogg for a British title. Oh, Lee Wood can't win a world title against a fighter that throws 1,500 pound punches a fight.
Who nobody else wanted to jump in with.
No one else wanted to jump in with, but then when Lee Wood beat him, he was overrated. He was a bum. You know, people change narratives to suit me. I don't understand what Lee Wood has to prove now. You know, he's doing the right things by taking on the supposed super champion, which is in itself is laughable because he hasn't defended that title for 3 years. How he's still got it.
I'm just going to put a few comments up. So, Lee Brown seems to think it is Warrington in spring, definitely for Lee Wood. Jack Gavin said he only mentioned Wood as a backup as WBC champs is injured. Larry Liston said Lee Wood versus Conlan was fight of the year. And then Jack seems to do a U-turn. He didn't call Wood out. I didn't say he called Wood out. He mentioned him in an interview. Lee Brown says he's great, yeah, but there's a bit of a bias here, to be honest. Really, Lee. Yeah, I'd say you'd be biased about Southampton fighters, but I'm scratching my head a little bit.
Well, we're always going to be called that, mate. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, the next thing is Echo Esserman's going to win a world title.
There's a good chance he wins a European. That's now vacant. We'll get pulled up on that next.
We're just the hotbed of boxing in Nottingham. I'm sorry that you got, we're just the best fight town in the country, period.
Well, you know what, mate? We've called the Lee Wood fights pretty much bang on. We called the Zucan fight. We said that Lee had stopping late on. We called the Conlan fight. But you can call it biased as much as you want. Of course, we're proud of Lee Wood from being from Nottingham. Of course we are. Just like we were when Froch was world champion. But I've said I've been on the show.
It's only like Ryan with the Smith brothers, which is understandable because they're a fantastic boxing family.
Yeah.
And I've got to admit, I really enjoy fight nights in Liverpool.
I do as
great
well.
Atmosphere, great people. But you follow your own, don't you? You back your own.
But not blindly, though, Carl. If we didn't think Lee Wood could win, we would say Lee Wood is in a difficult fight and he might not win. But I've not. There's not a fighter that I don't think he can beat in that division. It's just opinion.
So Jack Gladman said, "Are we going to Williamson versus Keller?" Yes. Are the drinks on you then, Jack?
Yeah.
So guys, any more comments before we wrap the show up?
What a great fight that is, by the way. Williamson Kelly, what a great fight that is.
Ryan, I do wish you'd sit on the fence now and again. So Ryan says, facts, Smith brothers, I back them to the hill, but not Bellew. He's a Rick with a P at the beginning.
Oh, come on. Come on. You might not like the fact that he's outspoken, but you've got to give Tony Bellew credit. He got every ounce of talent out of him.
The only bit I don't agree with Bellew about outside the ring is that he's very harsh on other drug users, but he's got a certain topic that's quite topical at the minute that he's not been so vocal about.
Yeah. To be fair, I get what you're saying there, but when it comes to his ring talent, mate, he got every ounce of his own ability out to win that world title. No one thought Bellew was going to win a world title in his career. I don't even think he thought it. He was ecstatic when he won the European. So to do what he did and then defend it, then go on and be, fair enough, an aging David A. Be Be
Ryan's
competitive.
clarified. Ryan's clarified. Credit in the ring, but you don't like him outside the ring.
All about personal opinions with things like that, Ryan. You're obviously welcome to that, mate.
Right, so there's no other topics, guys. We're going to bring it to an end. Last shout out for any topics you want us to cover before we bring the show to a close. Lee Brown said difficult for Bellew as he works for DAZN. He has to be careful what he says.
Yeah, that's the problem though, Lee, isn't it? This is the issue that winds.
I'll tell you what, though, if there's a Warren fight, he would have gone in on him.
This is what I'm saying. You know, where do you draw the line and use your self-respect and be honest? At what point does that have to stop and you become just somebody that's a lapdog for Eddie Hearn?
Jack, that's a great shot, Jack. Ritson versus Davis.
Ooh.
That is a great fight, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think O'Hara Davis beats him. I think he's a fresher at the two.
You know, O'Hara Davis, though, mate, he had some talent there and just squandered it. He had better talent than the level he went to. I just don't know whether he's committed enough. Whereas Ritson, yeah, he's been beat. He was found out at a certain level, but he's committed as a fighter. I don't know. Very close fight.
Ryder Rock says Tony Bellew has earned enough money not to do that anymore.
Unfortunately, Ryan, you live to your means on a lot of occasions, and the likelihood is his lifestyle that he's living means he still needs to work. And what is he going to do? He's been in boxing all of his life. You know, he gets given an opportunity to work on a platform. I'm assuming he's earning a shed load of money for doing it. I find it tough because I draw comparisons with Andy Clark and Paul Smith Jr. They work on Probellum, and they're not scared to say if a Probellum fighter's losing a fight. They're not scared to say if a Probellum fighter's not fighting right.
That's why they're not on. That's why they're not on DAZN or Sky, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But it's sad, mate, that you can just see it, and often I turn the sound off on commentary and stuff because it annoys me that they try and twist the way the fight's going to make it look like it's a more even fight and their fighter's still in the fight or winning the fight, when that often isn't the case. And when it comes down to what Ryan's saying there about comments, Tony Bellew's not the only one, by the way. I mean, Ryan's picking on Tony Bellew there, but he's not the only one. They all do it.
Well, Lee Brown says, bullshit, he hasn't earned too much money in terms of Bellew. He didn't earn mega money until the A fights.
That's true. He got a lot of money in the A fights. He got a lot of money from Usyk. He's earned good money, though. Let's have it right. He's earned millions. He's earned millions in them last 3 fights. But even so, you know, just because he's earned millions, does that mean he's not entitled to go and earn a living in boxing? I just don't. But like I say, I'll clarify again what I've just said. He isn't the only one. They all do it because they're all scared to lose what they've got. They're all scared to lose that job they've got. And if they say the wrong thing, they'll be gone.
Well, how many times have we were sat there listening to Adam Smith, and they're all, like I said, I'm just picking Adam as an example, and you're thinking, what fight is he watching?
Yeah, he's not yet. Again, he's not the only one. Yeah,
Lee Brown says, what about Nelson for Sky? I think Nelson's a little bit more down the line, to be honest. Yeah, I've never really noticed Nelson cause something massively out of sync.
No, I think he's quite good as well. Yeah, there's loads though, mate, that you can just tell that they're so scared. I mean, if a fighter's got absolutely battered,
I don't mind calling
You
them
won't call
out.
it
I
like
think
that.
I think Carl Frampton is quite bad at BT. You know, sometimes I listen to his opinion. I respect him as a fighter, but some of his pundit work leaves me scratching my head as well.
Yeah, it's a bit bad because clearly they're worried about the position, aren't they? Clearly they're worried about losing that spot if they say the wrong thing or if they go against a fighter and it sounds negative.
I mean,
And that's not right.
someone who I did enjoy was Paulie Malignaggia when he used to come over.
Well, why do you think he doesn't anymore?
Yeah, obviously.
Because he said it how it was and they didn't like it. The amount of times he was on commentary with Adam Smith and Adam Smith would say something and Paulie would pull him up. Happened so many times, mate. So many times in big fights.
Ryan O'Rourke says Nelson used to suck AJ balls. Now opposite. I have noticed a shift in narrative from Sky Sports since AJ's gone over to the zone.
That's that's sour grapes a little bit, though, isn't it? And that proves the point that we were just making. When AJ was there, he was the best thing ever. He was a world beater. You know, no one could touch him. All of a sudden, they don't think he's even in the top 5, probably. Yeah, the way they go on.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it looks like AJ's going to fight White. Well, the winner of who's White in with next? Remind me.
Oh, the American Franklin.
Yeah, Jermaine Franklin. So I think he'll beat Franklin. I think that's a fight for the first quarter of next year, isn't it? White, AJ, which is again an intriguing fight.
Do you not think AJ has a couple of warm-ups before White though?
I don't know. I don't know how much White's got left, to be honest.
I think they might put AJ in and get him a bit of confidence, mate.
Well, unless they build it and make it a summer fight in the stadium, because I still think AJ does the numbers anyway. And against White,
of course he does. AJ could fight the drunken bum sat at the bar in your local and sell out Wembley Stadium, mate. That's never going to change. His popularity is always going to be there.
Lee Brown said Macklin can be biased with commentary too.
Agree.
And Paulie was great.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Lee. They're all scared to lose that spot. I mean, Paul Smith was doing a very, very good job early on DAZN. He was doing the odd show here and there. And he's too honest. And they don't like it. And that's why he don't do it anymore.
So Lee Brown says AJ should tune up first, in my opinion. So guys, who are we throwing AJ in with next then? Are we taking him down to Australia, New Zealand and get, a bit of a world tour? Oh, he's already answered it. So he thinks he should jump in with Wallen.
I was just about to say that.
Jack Gladwin says AJ versus Carl at Wembley in June. You can't afford me, Jack. Can't afford me.
All wrong for AJ, aren't you?
Yeah, nothing I wouldn't say to his face. What do I always say, Andy? I'm
Southpaw, you're all wrong.
That's right. Ryan O'Rourke says White has more left than AJ for me. White wants to fight AJ. Looks like he lost his heart for it. Yeah, it's a close fight. Close fight.
You know what it does, that fight? Because those two still hate each other. That fight, if either of them are feeling a bit like they're falling out of love with the sport, that fight gives them that fire back. Without a shadow of a doubt. Maybe it does happen next for that reason. I just think I think he fights. Like
I'd probably go to AJ White because it intrigues me.
I don't know.
With a decent undercard.
I think the build up would be interesting because they just don't like each other. Dylan White don't care what he says and does, so it becomes interesting. And AJ's got a spiky side when you get under his skin, hasn't he?
Cheers, Lee.
He showed it in that first time into that first fight. he definitely doesn't like Dylan White, and it's the only fighter that I've seen him in with where you've seen him switch. He stays in professional mode most of the time. It's the only time I've seen him switch.
If Cedric's still in the sidebar, he might have left for his show now in Canada, but maybe AJ goes over to North America and fights some of these up-and-coming prospects that we keep getting told by over that side of the pond. I mean, I don't know who they are because they've got no profile. But maybe that's what happens. They're going to take over the heavyweight division anyway. We keep hearing, Andy, don't we, in the next 18 months.
Can I ask you a question? How long are you going to keep this up for?
Because it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Just for everyone in the sidebar, this is an ongoing little bit of banter between Carl and a certain Canadian boxing show.
Maybe Therese can jump in the sidebar and maybe identify who these American heavyweights are that's going to dominate the heavyweight scene in 18 months. Because I ain't got a clue. Larry Liston says, should fight someone like Ergovich. I think Ergovich is a good shot. Jack Gladwin says, Thomas Patrick Ward has now been WBC number one for 652 days. Can you call this out? Well, there you go. There you go, Jack. So,
you know what? That number one spot for the WBC means absolutely nothing. You might as well, WBC might as well scrap them rankings because they make whatever fights they want to make anyway. They completely ignore the mandatory spot. They make people fight for these eliminators and final eliminators, and then they do nothing with it.
Too easy. Thank you. So, Big Baby, I believe that's Jared Miller, isn't it? He's the one that I've heard of. Anderson. So, so he's put Big Baby looks legit, but yet to be tested.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's my whole point. You know, it's just a bit of an outrageous statement to say that UK are doomed in the heavyweight division after Tyson Fury and AJ's gone, because we've also got up and coming fighters.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's made a point. Again, Therese, I'm not being anti-American. It wasn't me that said it. It was the Canadians on another channel. But I'm just keen to know who these prospects are. We've also got people like Matty Harris who are coming up as well, who's a big old lump.
Yeah.
Larry Liston says UK rules the heavyweight division. Larry, just out of interest, because me and Andy have been debating, where are you from, fella? Which side of the pond? Jack Gladwin says Franklin also looks legit. I think White knocked him out. Dillian White will knock him out.
Franklin been spending a lot of time in Fury's camp recently.
I believe he has. Yeah. Didn't do Parker much good though, did it? So Joe Joyce beats most the Americans. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan, I wonder if you've heard about who these American prospects are. Oh, so Larry's from Germany. We thought he was from America, young man.
Yeah, with the name.
So anyone in the sidebar, apart from Jared Miller, Big Baby, any other Americans that you can educate me about? Because I need educating on these North Americans.
Oh man, you're so sarcastic.
So Jack says Matt McCallum will be British champion 2023. Jack, what's your knowledge like on the other side of the pond?
I think Anderson's the big hope, mate. Anderson's the big hope, and he's looking like he's got the quality, but he needs to be tested. And he's only going to get tested in Europe. He's not going to get tested in the States because they haven't got.
The only analogy I've come up with, which I will use next time I'm on the Canadian airwaves, is not in the same weight division, but a certain Jeff Left Hook Lacer came over to the UK with his big reputation, and he got sent back in. So, yeah. So, we're struggling with these North American names, guys, aren't we?
I think you might have proved your point, Carl.
I'm sure there is some good fighters, but it's all about earning your stripes, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, I mean, there probably is, to give it a little bit of balance, there probably is prospects that we don't know about because we've got to race the ground in the UK. There probably is prospects, but it's a sweeping statement to say they're going to take over the heavyweight division, isn't it?
Yes.
I think that's the point you're making. It's a sweeping statement. Prospects are okay, but they need to be proven. Prospects need a gut check at times. I don't think Anderson's had a gut check. So we'll see.
So Ryan O'Rourke said he can't come up with names. No, they're all bums.
See what you've started now.
Well, Carl, it's too easy. Says Carl, you're catching a tone with me. No. I'm not, honestly too easy. I'm just looking for your knowledge. Get these names out to me so I can YouTube and watch them. Jack Gladman
he says with a smirk on his face.
Franklin and Anderson are the two they rate. Jack Gladman says also the son of Tommy Morrison is also rated. See, I wasn't aware of that.
No, me either. I hold my hands up. This is what I'm saying. So there's names out there, mate, that are potentials, just like the potentials that we've got in the UK. There's one thing for certain, Carl. There's one thing for certain, that the division definitely opens up when Tyson Fury finally hangs his gloves up. Because if you think about it, I think the next champion is Joe Joyce, but Joe's not got that long left either.
No.
At the very, very top, Joe might have 4 or 5 years, and that's really pushing it.
Just after some balance under one area where Americans are, I would argue, in a better place than the UK is boxing trainers.
Yeah, there's some great trainers.
If you think about it, Sugar Hill, Buddy McGirt, just to name two. So it's not. Yeah. I'm not anti-American fight game boxing. It's just when I get a sweeping statement put on me like that.
Yeah.
Just give me the evidence.
And there's other divisions, Carl. There's other divisions where the light years above.
Oh, the Crawford, Spence, yeah,
the welterweight division. I mean, you've also got Ortiz, and Boots Ennis coming through. Boots Ennis is going to be the next massive star.
But Andy, if that was levelled at me, Shakur Stevenson, if that would have been put to me, I'd hold my hands up and go, guys,
Absolutely.
So Ryan O'Rourke said Dubois is better than 90% of them, and Joyce.
Who's that? Who put that comment?
Ryan,
just a quick one then. Does he beat Anderson?
Oof. That is a close fight because I know we talked about Dubois, Andy, but it's still you got that Trevor Bryant fight. It was a shocker. So I still don't know how good Dubois is. I still don't know how much he's improved.
Carl, I don't think Trevor Bryant is good enough to win an area heavyweight title in England. That's how poor Trevor Bryant is. He's not good enough to win an area, not even in English, an area title.
Yeah.
So I think Dubois is the right
here
person.
We go. Cedric is around. So let's just get Cedric. Let me just build a moment. So Cedric says, let Joshua get an easier win before taking on Wilder. Joshua, coming off 2 unanimous losses, needs a win for people to believe in him again. Cedric, I feel a bit let down by that comment now. I thought he was going to come out of some of these North American prospects. So now you're in sidebar, Cedric. Give me the names, Cedric. Give me the names.
Hold on a minute, Carl. You're putting on the wrong person there, aren't you? But Cedric wasn't the person that made that comment.
But Cedric, well, the only reason I'm saying is Cedric's well placed in Canada. He's a boxing coach. He knows the scene. So if they are out there, it wasn't him that initiated it, but if they are out there, he'll be able to tell me who they are. So I can go away and do my research and then give my opinion.
So it's the same question to you, Cedric. Does Jared Anderson beat Daniel Dubois right now?
It's a difficult one because we don't know how good either are. So Cedric says Jared Anderson, the best American prospect, but I will admit, guys in the UK own the heavyweight division now. So
I would like to see.
You might want to have a conversation with one of your co-hosts, then, Cedric.
I would like to see Anderson come across to Europe, not necessarily even an English fighter, but Europe, and test yourself against, or even drag someone over to the States, drag some of them fighters over to the States, and test yourself against some of these real tough Eastern European fighters, and just see where you sat at.
So Cedric said Anderson versus Dubois is close.
I think it's close as well. What we need to remember as well with Daniel Dubois is he's a very young man. There's lots and lots and lots. Heavyweight fighters, mate, don't generally at the prime. Tyson Fury being the exception until they're 30. Maybe even later than that. And some of them go on to still be in the prime at 40, which I think you're going to see. You're going to see that with Joe Joyce.
Yeah, especially when they turn over a bit later. They normally have plenty of miles on the clock. So Cedric says Dubois has the power. I think Anderson has slightly more skill. One thing I will agree with you on, Dubois, his skill set is limited. It's all about power with Dubois.
Like I said a minute ago, though, I was halfway through making the statement that I think he's with the right coach, Dubois.
Of course you do.
I know you have your opinions on Shane McGuigan, and you're entitled to him, but I do think he brings young talent through and gets the very, very best out of them. What he's doing is he's taking his time with Dubois. I mean, what do you do if you're Frank Warren and you're Daniel Dubois and you get the opportunity to fight for a WBA heavyweight title against somebody that isn't fit to be holding the belt, isn't good enough to win an area title in the UK? What would you do? Turn it down because you're not ready for that next step?
The jaw is massively out for me on Dubois.
It is, mate. But what do you do? Do you turn that fight down and say, no, I'm not ready for it?
His next fight needs to be a meaningful one, though, don't it?
But now he's got that belt, mate. Every fight's going to have to be meaningful.
No excuse then, is there? So Therese says, I want to see Big Baby take that big step, but top ranked guards them, right? You have to always remember this is a business. Heavyweights are cash cows if they hit big.
It's not going to hit big if he never fights anyone, though, is it?
Ryan Award says 32 to 33 is the prime age for me for heavyweights. Jack says Steve Robinson tried to get Trevor Bryan. That's all you need to know. He's a guy who does the Ivan Drago bit, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah.
Which is shocking marketing. Absolutely shocking.
He'd have beat him, though. That's the thing.
Probably, yeah. And remember, didn't Steve Robinson get beat recently?
His last fight got beaten, didn't he?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. A joke that the fact that just shows you how people can pretty much buy a heavyweight title belt, I should say. Regardless of what you think of a regular title compared to a super title, and that's just bollocks anyway. But the fact that he was ever able to become champion, and you could say the same thing about Charles Martin. What a joke that was. AJ must have been rubbing his hands together when he found out that was going to be his first title shot.
Yeah.
Didn't even break sweat, did he?
No. I mean, just coming back to Dubois, remember, Joe Joyce wasn't supposed to beat Daniel Dubois in that fight. He wasn't supposed to beat him, was he?
No, because Daniel was knocking people out for fun. But
I worry about his art, and I worry about his art. Whether he's got when the chips are down and he's in the trenches.
No, I think you've been a bit harsh, mate. And I'll tell you why. Because he come up against the fighter that now everyone's saying he's going to be the next heavyweight champion of the world.
But he's never had a gut check, has he? He was blowing people away in first round, second rounds, and first time he gets it put on him a little bit. But that's I know it was a bad injury. I know his eye was really bad, etc., etc. But we've seen other fighters carry on, haven't we?
We have, but we've also seen other fighters quit just the same.
But that's what I'm saying. So is he a warrior, or is he gonna
No, I think
how
what
much
you
art
found,
he got.
what you found, mate, was he was worn out. I don't think the eye injury was the thing that stopped the fight. I think he was worn out.
I don't. I think
You got to remember, mate. You got to remember that, like you've just said, he was knocking people out in 1 and 2 rounds. He wasn't having to go deep. He wasn't having to go to that well in the second half of fights. That was the first time he got dragged anywhere. And he got, and let's have it right, Carl. He got a beating that night.
Yeah.
He did well to last as long as he lasted with the state of his eye. Every single shot, Joe Joyce couldn't miss with that jab. And it was a massive learning curve. And he'll have gone back to the drawing board. Let's say that. He'll have gone back to the drawing board.
The only thing I would say, there's a few red flags for me. And the one thing you can't give a fighter is art.
Well,
that's the only point I'm making.
I don't think you can say that he quit. It was a bad eye injury.
He did quit. He quit.
I think he was knackered, mate. More than anything. I don't think he quit because I mean, yeah. What do you class as a warrior then? Someone that stands there until they get knocked out cold. Is that what your idea of a warrior is?
There's an argument for going out on your shield, isn't there? I just think I worry about his art. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying
there's an argument for that, but there's also an argument for, okay, fair enough. I'm getting absolutely battered here. I'll save myself for another day. I've got plenty of time left in my career.
Yeah, normally a fighter has to be saved by his corner as a rule, though, don't they? They always say a fighter can be too brave for his own good. I just worry. The proof will be next time he gets dragged in deep waters.
Yeah, you're right. It will be. And there's only one person who can answer that, and that's him. And you'll see.
All I'm saying is it worried me from a fight fan perspective, the way it ended.
Yeah, but I do think you have to take that fight as a one-off because of who he was in with and what Joe Joyce has done since.
Right, if there's nothing else, we come up to the hour and a half mark. So, guys, last chance in the sidebar. Any other topics which you want us to cover before we bring the show to a close? It's been a great show. Loads of comments, great contribution from both sides of the pond to ease before you start about my anti-American comments. I love the American fans as much as the British.
I was waiting for a secondary comment there, Carl.
No, Jack. Anything? I'm worried about getting my green card for when I next want to go over. Anything from Jack?
I think we draw it to a close there, mate.
Looks that way. Okay, guys, thank you very much for the comments on the side. Great contributions as ever. Saturday night, we may be going live straight after the card. So keep an eye out on the channel and on the notifications. Hit the like button for us, guys. If you've enjoyed the show, like, comment, subscribe. See you again. If not Saturday night, it'll be next Thursday. Loads of content dropping on the channel. Keep an eye out. Thank you all for your support. Much appreciated. Spread the word, and we'll see you next time. Anything from you, Andy? And I'm conscious that I'm closing the show out about asking you.
No. I was going to say the same things as you, mate. Thanks to everyone in the sidebar. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Speak to you soon.